Hello, and thank you for joining me in another video. And today we've got some very, very exciting updates on Nebius. But first of all, before we get into this, if you are new here, my name's Howard. I'm a retail investor of over 10 years now. And I recently started this YouTube channel to just basically share my research, what I'm investing in, and hopefully learn and build a bit of a community around that. And if you're not new here, thank you so much for joining me once again. Now, let's get right onto the topic of this video. And as I said, that is Nebius. And Nebius, or the management team and CEO of Nebius, have recently done kind of a fireside chat with Morgan Stanley. So this is where they got to ask a lot of good, important questions about the business of Nebius, what their plans are for the future. We got some really, really interesting and new information from that as well. So it wasn't like a live stream video, but it was just recorded, the audio of that as well. So I've gone through that, and I've also taken the transcript and kind of gone through and pulled out what I think the highlights for me are. So we're going to go through all of these highlights and also the quotes and specifically what was said around that. So first of all, let's jump into and have a quick look at the stock price. Again, we're around this $95 mark. We do really looks like we've just kind of got a base around here at the moment. Although it's been around there, there is a lot of fluctuation at the moment with AI fluctuating up and down, and then tech being up and down with the software narrative. And then, of course, what's going on with the conflict in Iran and oil prices. We've got so much movement in the market at the moment. So you're going to expect to see that in a big growth name like Nebius as well. But you can see kind of for the past month, we have just settled around this, and we just need Nebius to keep on executing. The future looks bright, and then hopefully we should see the stock price follow as long as they do that. So just for a bit of context, this is what we're going through today. So it's Morgan Stanley Technology, Media and Telecom Conference, and they specifically sat down with Nebius. So it's just over half an hour. So it was a lot of really, really good details we got from this. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through what I see as some very, very key outlooks that we got from here. But I would recommend, if you have the time, do go and have a listen to the webcast yourself, because it's really good to hear actually direct from the CEO and the management team. I think that is so important when building conviction and learning about a company, is speaking exactly from the founders and the CEOs. So I definitely recommend doing that as well if you have the time. So first of all, going through the key takeaways, there are 7 of these. Number one, which we know they were doing this already, but they were really kind of upfront with saying that the big tech contracts, these hyperscalers like Microsoft and Meta, these are strategic, but they are not core. This is not where the growth of their business is. And we also got, I think for the first time, actually said that this represents about half of their capacity at the moment. So half of their capacity is going to the likes of Microsoft and Meta, and the other is going to their other like AI workloads and their other clients. Management was clear that the relationships is strategic bridge, but not the long-term destination. And the core business model targets multi-tenant cloud customers, AI startups, and enterprise workloads, not just wholesaling GPUs. And this is kind of what we want to see, because although we get nice big billion-dollar contracts, you're just wholesaling GPUs. You're not really doing any of the inference. You're not doing any of the software work for them. You're essentially running a data center, and there are kind of very low margins associated with that. Then Arkady, the CEO as well, also said, well, he said here, don't get distracted. Our main business model is not there. We treat this as this business for us as temporary. And he also said, like, we basically are a hyperscaler. When they were Yandex, they were the Russian equivalent of Google. And he was like, we were that. We know how they operate. They're going to be using us at the moment where capacity is constrained. They just need anything they can get. But moving forward, they will be having everything in-house. They won't be going to the likes of Nebius or CoreWeave or IREN. The big hyperscalers won't anyway, because they're just going to do it in-house. But at the moment, because it's so constrained, that is why they're using this. Nebius knows that. They're taking the money, they're using it to invest and build these data centers, and then also use it to kind of reinforce their balance sheet, and then they can expand on their other like AI startups and enterprise workloads as well. So good clarity from that, and I like the fact that they're so clear. We want people to be building on top of Nebius, and we want people to be expanding inside of Nebius and using their platform, not just using it to rent GPUs. And onto hyperscalers as well. So he was pretty clear, like they've got an ambition to be a hyperscaler when it comes to this. But their idea of Nebius is we want to be the AWS or the Microsoft Azure, specifically AI first. We want to be up there with those guys. They've been doing it for a while and they do all sorts of kind of cloud computing and storage. Nebius is trying to be AI first. And he said here as well, so, with the current GPU capacity in the hundreds of thousands, like in terms of Nebius, they're already kind of at the same size as these hyperscalers. A ground up rebuild of full technology stack with current GPU capacity already in the hundreds of thousands and a roadmap to extend to millions of GPUs as a gigawatt scale power comes online. So that's kind of up there with what the hyperscalers are doing anyway. They're saying they're already up there. We created the full stack from scratch, a full stack cloud. So again, this is not legacy software. This has all been made just to work with AI. Our cloud today provides hundreds of thousands of GPUs that will go millions eventually, and the gigawatts when the gigawatts start materializing. So they've got huge ambitions. Full software-driven AI cloud platform. So what they spoke about here is, again, we are not just renting GPUs. We do everything on the software side of things as well. So, we're building the real platform for AI developers. On top of it, there's a lot of specific services for the AI builders, like our token factory and inferencing platform. I would kind of compare this to something like I've invested in Shopify for a long time. Shopify is the place to build applications, the place where you're going to build your websites, and developers like building on that. And they basically give you all the tools you need to build an amazing e-commerce store. Nebius wants to be like that as well. They want everyone to be able to build everything from scratch inside there, and they want developers to prefer do that as well. There's also a part in this where he spoke about they want 1 million developers to be using their platform, which is a huge upgrade, but that's what they want. They want people, them not just having to sell, but their customers will then sell for them. Developers, when they're working in businesses, will automatically come back to Nebius, just like many people go to AWS now, because it's such a familiar and diverse platform that's very easy to use. Demand strength and rising pricing. Now, this is very, very important. So management stress that AI infrastructure demand is outpacing supply. We kind of know this, but again, CEO Mark Boroditsky reported 50% expansion in average selling price, with pricing moving upward even older generation GPU hardware. So this is good for two reasons. One, of course, ASPs is going up. It means there's even more demand, and this is still going. The AI narrative is very strong. People really are needing this much compute. Number two, we're talking about expansion in the ASPs of even older GPUs. Why this is specifically important, because one of the bear thesis on AI CapEx in general is that you always have to update these, and you have to kind of basically write the cost off over 5 years at most, because these are old GPUs, you need to get new ones in. Now, of course, when you're growing your data centers, you're always going to be getting the new ones in. We know that Nebius is going to be one of the first people to have NVIDIA's new Vera Rubin chips available at the end of next year. Of course, they're going to be purchasing them, but even the old stuff, there is such a huge demand for AI that they're still getting huge selling prices on these. The selling prices on the old stuff, like the H100s, is still going up. This is great to show that, okay, one, they're getting more money, but also this older stuff is not just written off and thrown in the bin. Compute capacity is still constrained and people still really want these. Next, we got number 5, which is vertical integration advantage. So they spoke about just trying to make everything as in-house as possible. So rather than outsourcing infrastructure layers, Nebius designs and builds its own data centers and rack hardware internally. So if you know much about data centers, like there are so many stacks that go on into building the GPU and then building the rack and then putting them together and then building the whole data center. They're doing this as much as possible in-house. They've got the full stack ownership, so it compresses costs at every layer, so they can take the profit margins from every single layer. But it also means, I don't know if they mentioned it here, but it also means that they can make everything work together. One of the reasons why the MacBook works so well and the iPhone works so well was hardware and software were completely linked, and they don't let anything else come in there, so everything works perfectly. It's kind of the same here as well. They're building the full stack and their software to run on that as well. 2 more to go. So global expansion and new locations. This was just another one, but it just kind of shows that they really are keeping their foot down on the pedal. Nebius is aggressively expanding its geographic footprint. New regions already live in France and the UK and Iceland, and in the United States and Israel. Near-term expansion is Middle East, Singapore, Korea, and Japan, signaling the push towards broader multi-region global coverage. I really like this for Nebius. I like that they're building this huge data center, which we've also got a bit of news on as well, over in the US, and they're expanding there. But they are also going to put themselves as kind of like the #1 in Europe as well. And now they're already going over after the Asian market as well. So just expanding, putting bases, putting offices in there so they can start to get customers in these other areas as well. And then lastly, so this is something that quite a lot of people got on X actually, but this was actually from the CRO, Mark Boroditsky, but talking about the payment terms. So where demand is so high, they are getting very, very favorable payment terms. So we know their ASPs are going up, but actually the contract quality is going up. So year-long contracts have doubled. So the people that are actually signing up for a year at least have doubled. And they're actually securing upfront payments as well. So not paying monthly, but just getting that upfront. In some case, receiving 100% of contract value in advance. So people are signing up for a year or more contract and they're paying in advance just to secure this capacity. That really is like how much demand they have. So really, really good news. And all of these points are just kind of points that I feel are highlights of kind of show how the business is doing and how they're thinking about the future and how it shows this really is still growing and they have a lot of leverage to go. Well, they have a lot of leverage in this industry. They are increasing prices, they are expanding, and they're making themselves have a higher competitive advantage by being completely vertically integrated and developing this software layer as well. So I hope that was useful. I wanted to run through that. We have one more little piece of news on Nebius as well. And this might have helped the stock price a little bit and given a little bump. But we have had, I did a video a couple of days ago where we saw the announcement that Nebius got their new AI factory in Missouri approved. So we got that news hours after it happened because we got some actually watch the council hearing like in progress. And they've officially done an announcement on this as well on the actual Nebius's investor relations page. So really good. That has now officially been confirmed. We've got a couple of nice quotes here from Arkady, the CEO, just kind of showing you what they think of this as well. And I think it's also Arkady mentioned here as well. Yeah, this is our first project of this scale, but not the last. Great to hear that. They're still going to be expanding even bigger than this. They just talk about kind of like I've got the VP of US Public Affairs, just we're grateful to everyone showing how they're going to build this well. They're going to make over 1,000 construction jobs and how they're going to make it as environmentally friendly as well, so it doesn't have an impact on the wider population. So we've had that confirmed there, which is really, really good news. And now it's just going to be looking ahead to when does the ground break on this, when they start actually building this, and then we can look ahead to them actually having some of this capacity online. So that's it for today's video on Nebius. That Morgan Stanley report was super, super interesting. And we got a lot of really, really good information on there. So I did think it would be good to kind of give you a briefing of what my thoughts on that are. If you listen to it as well, please do let me know what your thoughts are in the comments and what you're thinking ahead for growth in Nebius, what you're most excited for in this year. Apart from that, I will see you on the very next video.